This meeting is being recorded.
And then turn over to Rosemary Allison, Chair Allison.
Okay, I'd like to bring this meeting to order.
I'll do a roll call.
I would like.
I'll do a roll call.
Perfect.
Okay. Kevin Cannon.
Here.
Amy Elliott, I've asked you to unmute.
Here.
Michael Adams.
Here.
Mark Burley, I've asked you to unmute.
Yeah.
And Chair Allison. Chair Allison.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to bring this meeting to order. Amy, could I get you to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Yes, indeed. Can't see my face, sorry. Hey. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
Of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands,
for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
and
and
justice.
with liberty and justice for
all.
Thank you, Amy. Okay, the first item on our agenda is the selection of the MAC chair and vice chair. Do I have any nominations from the council?
Oh, for me.
Okay, well, I'm willing to run as chair again.
I would like to nominate Rosemary Allison for chair.
Do I have a second?
Second that.
Amy, I'll do a roll call. Kevin Cannon. Oh, Kevin Cannon, please unmute.
I'm trying. Okay,
I've got you.
here.
Michael Adams,
Yes.
Mark Burley,
Aye.
Amy Elliott,
Aye.
Chair Allison.
Aye.
Thank you. And then Vice Chair.
Okay, who would like to be vice chair? Could I get someone from our council to volunteer for that position?
I'll volunteer.
So a nomination for Kevin. Who would like to nom?
I nominate Kevin Cannon for
I
vice
will not.
chair.
Mark did it. Kevin,
I
and a second.
I will second.
Okay, great. Thank you. And Amy, I'm going to ask you to unmute first.
Russell's ready.
Yep.
Roll call. Amy Elliott,
Here.
Kevin Cannon.
Here.
Aye. Or here.
Yeah.
Michael Adams,
Aye.
Mark Burley,
I hear.
and Rosemary, Chair Allison.
Aye.
Thank you.
That's the apple
Okay, now
vote,
we're going to
I
go through
hear.
agenda review.
Yeah.
I would like to now go through agenda review. I would like to notify our audience that in the agenda had been revised to include an item regarding the ADU and the temporary rental situation or zoning codes. County Council weighed in and asked us to revise the agenda to remove that item. We can't, because there wasn't proper notice of 72 hours. We can decide to add that in a future agenda, but we cannot discuss it this evening. Does anybody else have anything on agenda review?
No.
Now, I do want to state that members of the public can discuss anything they wish to discuss during the public comments. We just cannot act on it or respond to it, since it is not on our agenda. Okay.
Thank you, Rosemary.
Do we have any, going on from that, item number 5, the approval of minutes from November 18th. Does anyone have any changes?
I nominate that we accept the minutes as written.
Would anyone like to second that?
I'll second it.
I will do a roll call. Amy Elliott,
Here,
Mark Burley,
Aye.
Michael Adams,
Aye.
Kevin Cannon,
Aye.
Rosemary Allison, or Chair Allison.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, now can we go on to the members of the public safety departments to give us their reports?
I do see Lieutenant Key here.
I guess I will start off then. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for having me tonight. Hope everybody's safe and healthy at the start of this year. I know with the Highway Patrol, it's been challenging over the last couple of weeks for us to get sufficient staffing due to everybody being out sick, but we're getting through it and things are getting better, so that's a good thing. As far as crashes in the area on Santa Rosa Road over the last couple months, there really hasn't been anything significant. Just a couple of non-injury collisions, which it appears that they were like in stop and go traffic and somebody didn't see somebody stopped and they rear-ended them. So that's a good thing. As far as anything else, I don't have anything, but I do want to remind the MAC members of just some basic services that the Highway Patrol and Moore Park provides on a regular basis, such as child seat installation to new parents or existing parents. All you have to do is make an appointment at our office and we'll install your child seat free of charge. We have VIN appointments available. If you have registration issues with the Department of Motor Vehicles, we can take care of some of that for you. And we have, ongoing Start Smart classes, which are just instruction to new drivers on how to go out there and drive safely. And I will leave you with a tip for the year starting off. If you become disabled on the freeway, just remember to try to pull over to the right shoulder. That's if you have a flat tire or any kind of mechanical issues. That's a safe spot for you to be. As far over to the right as possible, over that white edge line is a good spot. Turn your hazards on. If for some reason you end up in the center median of the freeway, which is a really dangerous area, we recommend you to remain in your vehicle and call 911 so that the Highway Patrol can safely escort you back across or get you some aid. We want you to be removed as safely as possible. It's just a really bad position to be in. At any time, if you're concerned for your safety, just call 911 so that an officer can respond and assist you. And just another service that gets provided that I don't know if you're aware of is we have Freeway Service Patrol that's actually between the hours of like 6 and 9 in the morning to 3 o'clock to about 7 o'clock in the evening. And what they do is free of charge. They'll take you off the freeway if you have a flat or some kind of issue and take you to a safe area so that you can get help and take care of your vehicle. So other than that, I don't have anything else. If any member of the MAC has a traffic related issue they would like me to address, please provide that to me and we'll address it accordingly.
I have one question regarding the unincorporated area roads. Those are, I know you guys are on freeways a lot, but you're also have the jurisdiction on the county roads, correct, for traffic violations?
Yes, that's correct.
So what does the local sheriff do if they see a traffic situation violation? Are they tend to like do anything or I'm just curious, like, they don't write tickets, or do they? Because like in my neighborhood, for example, if some kid screeches out of his driveway and there's a sheriff that comes by at the same time and sees that, I mean, are they doing anything, or is that really a CHP issue only?
Well, the sheriff's department will not focus on traffic violations. They know that that's our responsibility. However, they do have the authority and ability to issue a citation if needed. Yeah, they have that ability anywhere to cite, especially here in Ventura County where they're assigned. So have the same ability and ability that we have to stop and issue citations.
In practice, do they do it at all or not?
I believe so. I see them stopping vehicles and taking appropriate enforcement action. Of course.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Let me see, I've got two. I'm gonna ask you to unmute this one, Rosemary. I know, I see you on two.
Well,
I see you on two.
yeah.
I see you on two.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since you've got, so you're, oh, I think she's trying to work out the, Rosemary, I'm gonna go ahead and unmute. I see Commander Heather Hoagland is here, and I also see Senior Deputy Officer Claudia Holden is here. So we'll go with Commander Hoagland.
Well, good evening, everybody. I don't have a lot to talk about. The last meeting, I'm not quite sure if I made that one or not, but we were talking about the scale location on the 101 freeway going down the grade and at the 101 into Cameron. And it looks like, well, hopefully it's full steam ahead, starting on the southbound side in March and then shifting to the northbound side in probably about May. I don't want to say that's solid yet. We do have contractors coming out and surveying the area and taking measurements and stuff, which tells me that they're about to submit their bids to Caltrans. So we will have construction going on for pretty much the remainder of the year once it starts. Southbound will be closed when they're working on southbound. Northbound will be closed when they start working on northbound. It will not affect traffic other than trucks will not be going into the facilities when the construction is going on because everything is going to be dug up. But I do want to invite anybody that does see commercial traffic that is on county roads or in places that you're not sure if they should be there or they're taking shortcuts, because our officers and non-uniformed personnel that can do inspections and inspect and enforce this, we want to put together some strike teams. And if you have ideas of where you'd like to see us this year, I'm more than happy to put together a little plan and make sure that everybody's staying honest with their maintenance of their vehicles and following the rules.
I'm gonna ask you to unmute, Rosemary, so you can take over.
Okay, here I go. Hold on. Okay.
I'll unmute.
Okay.
We have Officer Claudia Holden.
Okay.
Okay. I've unmuted Officer Claudia Holden with the sheriff.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Sorry I was a little late, having technical difficulties, but here I am. I did listen to Mr. Cannon's concerns about the sheriff's department and traffic accidents and traffic citations. We actually do enforce that area, especially like the school area. My kids go there, so I enforce it, making sure that the kids are walking there safe. Obviously, we do have two deputies that patrol your area. And when we do see a violation, we do give citations. But again, like the CHP officer was mentioning, that is not our priority. That's more county area. But if I do see a violation, or if my partner see a violation, we will pull the car over. And we will issue citations. If there's an accident and we're closer than CHP, we also assist them with any kind of traffic, especially if it's an injury traffic accident. Obviously, that is our, we do respond to those as well. Sometimes, unfortunately, CHP is a lot further than we are, and we can get there a lot faster to assist, clear the roadway, and assist with injuries. So yes, to answer your question, we do traffic related stuff there. I particularly do. Again, my kids go to that school. So I'm very particular about the children being safe when they walk across the street or when they're trying to drive and park. And some parents do get a little out of control there. So I wanted to just introduce myself. I am a 20-year veteran with the Ventura County Sheriff's Department. As you know, in the Sheriff's Department, we work the jail first, and then we go out to the patrol stations. My very first station was Moore Park back in 2008, and I've left in 2012. I've been assigned to many different areas, detectives, narcotics, back to detectives. I've done residential burglary detectives. I've done sex crime detectives and narcotics. So I'm back in the patrol car, and I chose to go back to my home station, which was Moore Park. I love Moore Park. I love the community, the Santa Rosa community. I have a lot of friends out there, a lot of good people. It's a great community, and I have just been assigned to your area. I actually chose to be assigned to it because just it's a great area to work in, and I drive by there all the time. I get wonderful waves, people walking their dogs. So I love the community. So if you guys have any questions about me, or if you have any concerns, I'm gonna give you guys my email address. It's very easy. It's my first name, Claudia, CLAUDIA, dot Holden, my last name, HOLDEN, and that's at ventura.org.
Okay. I put it in the chat for you.
Yeah, so yes, so if you guys have any concerns, any questions, you can email me directly. I've been assigned to Santa Rosa Valley and the county areas that Moore Park handles. So any kind of concerns, just really quick, I know you guys have a large agenda. I just wanted to give you guys a little tidbit of what's going on in your neighborhood. You guys live in a wonderful community, a very safe community. And unfortunately, we've been getting a lot of vehicle thefts, meaning residents are leaving their doors unlocked, their vehicle doors unlocked. And we've had, in the last week, we've had several vehicle thefts that have been reported. We've also had a vehicle stolen where the doors were left unlocked with the key fob in the car, so it was easy. We have people that are walking around. You guys have a lot of nice things. You have nice cars, so you have people that come from other areas. They try the doors, they open, and if you have them unlocked, they're gonna go in there and rummage through your stuff, take all of your valuables, and if they have you have a key in your car, that your car is going to go too. So if we can just remind residents to make sure that we lock the vehicles, it's important. Again, you live in a very safe community. However, that attracts people from other areas to come in and start door checking your vehicles. We also have another thing that just remind your residents to try at least every day to take your mail in. I've taken a report up there of a bunch of mail thefts, and lately it's been concentrated in the area of Vista Arroyo, Ridge Drive. We had some on Summit Circle and Vista Grande. It's been that area. So if we can just remind our residents to bring in their mail, those 5 minutes of bringing in your mail will in turn save you a lot of money trying to cancel credit cards, trying to fight, because it's identity theft is huge. And so if they just get any kind of bill, anything with your name, credit card, anything like that, we'll be taking reports of identity theft for you later. And it just takes a lot of time on your part having to call the banks, cancel credit cards, dispute charges. So if we can just remind residents to bring in the mail at least every night, if not every other night. But I mean, I have residents that it's a week before they pick up their mail, and then they don't know what's stolen. So just those are just reminders. That's kind of the trend that's happening in this last week is vehicle thefts, stolen vehicles, and mail thefts in that area.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, I wanted to make a comment. About a week ago, I reported a suspicious vehicle in our area, and somebody had driven partway down my driveway, got out of the car, just something that just didn't look right. And so I did call the non-emergency Ventura County Sheriff's number, and I got a great response. They seemed appreciative to get my call. And then I got a call from a deputy probably within just only a few minutes. And they said, we have 2 cars out looking for that person. So just want to say thank you so much for such great service you provide here.
Well, thank you. And we try to, again, we've been getting, I know that on right by, there was a gentleman or a person that was vandalizing the houses there. Like he was breaking the lights. I'm trying to look on the map to see what, I think it was on Allison, Vista Arroyo. So we're out looking for this person because he may also be someone that is trying doors. That's another thing. Thank you for reminding me. Some homes have wonderful camera systems. And then when we go ask for it, they've realized that they haven't been working for several months. So also remind people, like the residents, that if you do have cameras, make sure they're up and running. It just helps us a lot to try to get the suspects that are out doing these kind of things.
Great. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for being number one in the Sheriff's Department. And secondly, I'm so pleased to hear that your children attend Santa Rosa Technology Magnet School. It's so great to have someone in law enforcement who really understands our area. And since that's the heart of our community, you have a firsthand look at it. So thank you. All right, now who else do we have? I think we saw somebody from Parks District show up too. Venice?
From Parks District?
I thought I saw somebody from Parks. Did I?
That would be for your item, a later item.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Who else do we have that is from public service?
We had Lieutenant Key, we had a Commander Hoagland, both from CHP, and then Officer Holden. So
okay, great. All right. Now, comments from our wonderful supervisor, Linda Parks.
Thank you, Rosemary, Chair. I just wanted to let you know that there is what we call a community beautification event at Santa Rosa Technologies Magnet School, and you'll have that in May 7th. And those are wonderful. You can bring your big bulky items and your electronic waste, green waste and all that. So mark your calendars for May 7th. You can clean out your garages and such and take it over there for free. Also, we have the Transportation Commission has recently appointed a new executive director. That's Martin Erickson. And so it's nice to have him on board, particularly since he is well-versed. He is a staff member that was promoted into the executive director spot. So he's familiar with the county. They are doing a transit needs study right now. If anyone's interested and you think that transit would be a good thing out in your area, you can go online to goventura.org, and they have an unmet transit needs survey to take. Additionally, we had a wonderful article in the Camarillo Acorn on growing works. If you had a chance to take a look at that, that's that drought tolerant nursery that hires people with mental illness, and they have some of the best plants around, native plants and drought tolerant plants. And it's for a great cause. It's nice to see the article. It was featuring the fact that we're going to have a park out there too of demonstration gardens. So looking forward to that. It's a great location for it. We're putting some senior adult housing out there for people with mental health challenges also. So they'll be able to enjoy the park too, as well as Casa Pacifica is right there, and Growing Works, and some housing for shelter for people, families. So it's just a good location, I think. Additionally, we have our planning department. I know there was discussion that we were going to have on the agenda on ADUs, accessory dwelling units. Unfortunately, because of the Brown Act, we didn't have enough lead time to actually have it noticed in time to be able to discuss it. So we'll have that at a future meeting coming up soon, I'm sure. The county's updating also their ordinance on accessory dwelling units, so it's consistent with state law. And the county staff have agreed to come and talk with the MAC about that, because I know there are some questions on that, and also pertaining to the groundwater and how that impacts, if any, the additional requirements that the state is putting forward on the localities to ensure that ADUs can be built. So we'll have that more further discussion at a future meeting. And let's see, I think that concludes it. We had some really good discussions a few months ago, a panel on fire safety and insurance out in Santa Rosa Valley. We also had one in Oak Park that featured more about what you can do to harden your home and protect your area. And it's nice to see now that Oak Park has taken that momentum, and they're going to be looking at forming what's called a fire safe council, and it becomes a nonprofit that then can get grants and such to help our community protect itself from fire. So that's just another option. You have a CERT team out in Santa Rosa Valley with your CERT trailer and all that. CERT stands for Community Emergency Response Training. And we have the community out there trained, and you have a trailer in case of emergencies too that can be used. But the Fire Safe Council is another step, and it's specific obviously to fire, but it's something to consider. There's also a West Ventura County Fire Safe Council that you may be able to connect with too. But that concludes my comments. If you have any questions, let me know.
Linda, one other thing which we need to thank you for is the Board of Supervisors, remember, had approved the cost of bringing the power lines down.
Yeah, that was a nice addition. In Santa Rosa Valley, a partnership between the county and Edison to underground the power lines. I think it's from Moore Park to the Magnet School, and then we're hoping in the future to continue that down Santa Rosa Road. There was also good news at the PUC, as I understand it today, the California Public Utilities Commission. They were looking at starting to disincentivize solar rooftops, and they've decided to back down from that effort. They were going to make it a lot more expensive for people. So I'm really glad to see that too, because I'm a big supporter of solar rooftops.
Great. Well, listen, thank you. Santa Rosa Valley thanks you for your efforts on our behalf to get those power lines buried, because that's something that really affects us, especially when they have the power outages, which has been affecting us a lot more lately.
Yeah, it's a dual benefit. It will stop sparking of fires, but also help you to avoid more power outages.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question regarding that? What are the, or are there any long-term proposals to continue putting the power lines underground? That's only like a, it's wonderful that it's happening, and you start, journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. But I'm just wondering if there's any discussion about what would happen after that, once we get to the school and going further along, going west along Santa Rosa Road.
I think so too, because they've identified Santa Rosa Valley as a high fire severity area, and that's the purpose of undergrounding. So, it isn't in just one corner of it. It might behoove the MAC to send a letter to Edison, thanking them and asking them and encouraging them to continue that effort.
I think that's a great idea. Can we put that on the agenda for next time, please?
Yeah, I would think that we need the letter to go to both the Board of Supervisors
And the MAC,
and Southern California Edison.
I think that's a great idea. Thank you.
Okay. So Denise, you got that down?
You.
I saw her writing.
Okay, I would add
Okay.
to Linda's talk about the growing works that she failed to mention that they have, it's a wholesale nursery, but once a month they have a public sale. And so you can go to their website and sign up for their email list, but I think they have a pretty much scheduled once a month sale. The public can go and buy plants, and I've done that, and they do have wonderful plants. So everybody that wants to try to do better drought tolerant planting, look them up.
Yeah, and it is a wholesale nursery, but like you said, once a month they do have it available to the public. This is one of my most exciting projects, because not only do you have the Growing Works nursery next door to it, this is all land that the county was given from the state of California, associated with the Camarillo Hospital. When the county received it, they didn't do much with the property, but there's like an old barn there, and I'm getting funds to be able to convert that barn so they can use that on the site for community events or and when I say community, like I said, there's a lot of vulnerable populations there. There's the Rain homeless shelter, and we're looking at getting funds for that to rebuild and fix that up. We're building the apartment building for older adults with mental illness that Many Mansions is going to run. There's going to be a community, they call it a mental health rehabilitation center that will be going on in the back of the property. There's a large water tank that is up there that I'd like to be able to, instead of tearing it down, to be able to, paint it and refurbish it. It's, it's just, we probably have only a handful, if I can only think of 2 of these water towers that you see in farmland. So trying to get that preserved. So it's just a lot of really neat projects. And of course, the park that we're building there that has the labyrinth. So it's all a pretty neat project. And Casa Pacifica is also going through some changes. So I'm really looking forward to continuing working on that. And it's a neat project. So we'll have you all come out for the ribbon cutting for the park when they get that up and built.
Thank you so much, Supervisor Parks. Okay, now we go on to the presentation on the Sesame fly fishers concept for a casting pond at Santa Rosa Valley Park.
Okay, where are you, Karen? There you are. Thank you. Okay. Here we go.
Hi. Yeah, and I'm here with Earl Arnold, who is the president of the Sesame Fly Fishers. And I am here as chairman of the Casting Pond Committee, and Candace Menigan, whom you may know, is also on our committee and has been very helpful in bringing us forward to speak to you and look into county parks as possibilities. So I do have a little PowerPoint I'd like to share. So I'm going to share my screen and see if I can get that going. Let's see. There we go.
There you go.
Okay. Now I just want it to take over the slideshow and do its thing. From beginning, there we go. Okay, so I want to introduce you to what a casting pond is, as we're trying to establish one at the Santa Rosa Valley Park. A casting pond is a very shallow pond, and well, first let's talk about Sespe fly fishers and kind of give you a little background. It's a very shallow pond and it's safe. It does not have to be fenced because the water is only about 14 inches deep. The pond is about 18. And we, Sespe fly fishers, just celebrated our 50th anniversary in December. And all the last year, we've been thinking, what can we do now that we're 50 years old? Well, we want to create a legacy. And our legacy would be establishing a casting pond, which has been a long held dream, but we want to take it a step further and really work forward and make it happen. So that's why we're here tonight. Earl, do you want to talk a little bit about Sespe fly fishers, because you've been a member much longer than I have?
Yeah, I've been a member of Sespe fly fishers for about 30 years now. The Sespe fly fishers started in 1971 by the group of fly fishers that wanted to stop the construction of a dam on the Sespe Creek. And there's still no dam on the Sespe Creek. So that much we got done. We're affiliated with Fly Fishers International and part of the Southwest Council of Fly Fishers International. We currently have about 120 active memberships here in the county, and we've been serving the county very regularly for 50 years. We have casting programs, fly tying classes, fly fishing classes, outings, events, and we're a very active club. Okay. One of the things that we've done is work with the Ojai Valley Land Conservancy, and over the last 10 years, we've planted more than 1,000 trees in the Ventura River watershed. Oh. Karen?
Just say next when you want me to go. I'm trying to feel it out with what you say, but I can't read your mind entirely.
That's quite all right. I'll just tell you, Karen, a casting pond. All right, let's talk about what a casting pond really is here. This is a photograph of Pasadena's casting pond when they rebuilt it. They originally had an asphalt bottom, which leached oil to the surface and wasn't very practical. Then they had it redone and in concrete. It's a big area. It's 20,000 square feet. It's only, like we said, a maximum of 18 inches deep, so it doesn't require a fence according to the state of California. It's used for practicing casting on the water when there are certain aspects to fly casting and fly rods and a technique called spey casting, where two-handed rods are used, where people cast. They need the surface tension of the water in order to be able to make the rod function. There are only 5 casting ponds in the state of California. Pasadena and Long Beach both have one. The other 3 are up north, San Francisco, Oakland, and the Russian River fly fishers have one. So they're a unique facility. They're a great draw. People come from all over Southern California to go to the one in Pasadena. Long Beach holds international competitions, and so does Pasadena. They're really good for teaching aspects, especially with young people. We have young people's programs, and I think Karen's got more on that. Karen?
Yes, do you want to, here's a picture of the pond finished in Pasadena. And we looked into, what it would cost to build a pond and also maintenance. And we found that each club that Earl surveyed handled it differently, and we're flexible on it. I'm quite happy to handle it. A pond would need about a half acre of land, and then the parkland around it would ideally encompass about 50 to 100 feet so that people can backcast. People that actually do spin fishing, which is with a spinning outfit and not fly fishing, can also use the pond to practice their casting. And of course, being a body of water, not very deep, but still water, it can be used for fundraisers and special events and all kinds of environmental education. After researching where to put a casting pond, Candace approached Supervisor Linda Parks, and we got a few ideas from them. And we went to visit Santa Rosa Valley Park, and we fell in love. The reason is we think it would be an ideal location because it's a 50-acre park. It's quiet, it's away from town, but not too far. It's central in the valley. Having the Conejo Creek nearby adds a wonderful atmosphere. Unlike some of the other suggestions that were made to us, like, oh, we'll use some land under the power lines or whatever. This is a really wonderful location. And the existing facilities are there already, including utilities. And as we understand it, the water is reclaimed water, which is ideal for the pond because we would not be using, water needed for the community. There's also plenty of parking. And we especially like that Camarillo and the park above Camarillo is central in Ventura County because there are several other fly fishing clubs, Conejo Fly Fishers, Santa Clarita, Santa Barbara, all of whom would like to use a pond if we had one, and will support us in our fundraising efforts. So we're extremely excited about the possibilities there. Earl, after meeting with Coulter Chisholm, made this map, and he measured out the park and thought that the location where he put it away from the arenas was a perfect spot. We did note when we visited there that there were no native trees. So even though we might need to take down a couple, we could certainly replant and perhaps even improve the trees because they could be replanted with native trees. So, and you can see the approximate size on this little map. It shows what space it would take. So one of the commitments that we're willing to make as a club is to raise the money and handle a good portion of the maintenance or all the maintenance that that we can handle for the pond. So it would be our gift to the community and our legacy, but also I would need a place to put it, and we would really value some parkland to put it in, because then it's a great collaboration. We're estimating the total cost could go as high as $750,000. That budget has actually come down a little bit since we first made it, because when we saw the land in Santa Rosa Valley, well, Earl, you're a contractor, you're retired, but anyway, maybe you can describe the fact that the excavation is easier there, and all because it's so flat already, and it's already been broken up somewhat. And also that Steve Shella has volunteers willing to, do stuff for us. So Earl, can you talk about that?
Yeah, I talked with Eric Huff, one of the local fishing clubs, who has some grading contractors, who said he may be able to convince them to come in and do some inexpensive work for us, or special prices. When I estimated the excavation for this, I had no idea what the soils types were or what the conditions are, and we still don't know exactly for sure. But I think that the $750,000 estimate is more than we would need by a long shot. I think we could probably do the thing for about $500,000, which is still a lot of money, but I think we can raise it.
I should mention before I get into all the reasons why a casting pond would be so wonderful that I do have a background in fundraising because I worked for several years for the Ojai Music Festival, and I was a director of development, and I also worked for an environmental organization as a director of development there, the International Center for Earth Concerns. So why do we need a casting pond in Ventura County? Well, our feeling is it's for the next generation, even though, of course, we will all enjoy it ourselves if we can get outdoors and learn how to interact with nature better. In this day and age, kids do not spend the time outdoors that they used to. They're spending hours on computers, and when they are tied into a household, they are more isolated and often lonely. We also have a long history of fishing, surprisingly enough, in Ventura County, with the two rivers, Santa Clara and Ventura rivers. There used to be southern steelhead, and they still are hiding up in the Sespe, so I hear from Earl, because he's been up there. They just can't make the migration as they should because of all the obstructions and problems with water shortages and so on. But we're hoping that species will be able to come back once the Matilha Dam is down and other problems are solved. So our feeling is, no, we can't go back to the past and, have the innocence that children might have had in the 1910 era or before, or even in the 20s, even up to the 50s. But we can make a better future. And I think that's why we're here. One of the things we really feel strongly about is that if you help with outdoor education, you teach youth and adults about how to interact with the outdoors. Fly fishing relies strongly on knowing what bugs the trout eat, and you really learn a lot about how the ecosystems work, because you have to put on the right fly to match the bugs that are, that the trout are eating. You really connect with nature, and when you do that, you form a bond, and we feel that that bond is essential because people protect what they love. I'm quoting Yvonne Chenard, who is a member of our club, but it's something I think is so obvious. Yes, we all protect what we love, whether it's our families or our communities or whatever. In this case, the natural environment. So we would love to see more outdoor education, and we feel that the casting pond will provide that, not only for the fly fishing men and women, but also for the children. We have 26 classrooms that are participating in a trout in the classroom program. And these are some pictures of children releasing the trout that they grew in their classroom. They learn all about it in these 26 classrooms that we have that are currently active. And then they name the fish. They really love them. And I was lucky enough to go out with Earl one day and take a bunch of kids out and introduce them not only to fly fishing, but also to the ecosystem and the fish. And Earl talked about the bugs and so on and so forth. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. And the kids loved it. So that's why outdoor education and experiences are so important. And of course, whatever efforts that we want to make to improve our watershed and our river systems will be enhanced as more people are passionate about it and care about it and want to make the changes that we need to make to protect and preserve our waterways. Now, fly fishing has some image of being a bit elitist. People think of rich people with these fancy rods, but in fact, you can get a fly fishing outfit for $100, maybe 200 to 200, and get yourself set up and spend hours, years using the same one. And there are many, many organizations that benefit from that time on the water, like Project Healing Waters, which Earl has been involved in for many years. And it is dedicated to the physical and emotional rehabilitation of disabled veterans. And it's a wonderful program which is active in Ventura County. I've already mentioned Trout in the Classroom. Eric Kramer, one of our members, board members, is very active in coordinating this program. They raise the trout from eggs to fry. They monitor the tank water quality. They feed the fish. They learn to appreciate our water, and they foster a conservation ethic. So that's one program that would really, really benefit by having our casting pond, especially near the creek, because they can understand what's going on in the creek as well. And that's why we like that location. Casting for Recovery is another organization that helps women with breast cancer. They gets them out fishing for not only the experience and the bonding, but the actual act of casting is extremely helpful for women. Healthful, not helpful, although both. Because as you move your arm to cast, you stimulate your lymph nodes, and it actually is therapeutic in a health sense.
Fly fishing's good for you.
What?
It is.
I didn't hear what you said, Earl.
I said fly fishing is good for you.
Yes, it is good for you. Good for the soul and good for the body. Women are the fastest growing segment, and you can see why I'm doing all the talking, but I'm actually active on the Fly Fishers International Women Connect, which is the steering committee nationally for women, the women's arm of Fly Fishers International. And it's growing by leaps and bounds, which is wonderful. I think it really helps women to get confidence, to be comfortable in the outdoors, and fly fishing does that. And yet it's a very gentle sport. We catch and release. We're not, killing fish and stuffing them and making trophies. These are a list of all the programs that are in not only Ventura County, but in LA, in California, and some nationwide. Mayfly Project introduces fly fishing to foster children. We can work with Boys and Girls Clubs as well to help them. So there's just a million ways we can use it. Earl mentioned earlier that there are tournaments. If you get a nationally known or internationally known world champion like Maxine McCormick, who started when she was about 13 and she's now 16, and she's literally a world champion. She's been to Pasadena doing tournaments with other casting people. You can charge, and I understand that can benefit the parks because there's not a lot of budget for the county parks. So an occasional tournament with admission would help enhance the budget. I think Coulter liked that idea, as I recall. And now we have a few endorsements, people who are willing to work with us. Lou Riffle is the president of the Santa Barbara Fly Fishers. He's already said, we'll help you fundraise. Kate Furlong was with the Ventura County Land Trust, and she is no longer, but she has endorsed the project. Did not give us any land because they don't want to build on their land, but only hiking trails. But she is certainly supportive. And Eric Huff, a small local business, obviously is totally, it would benefit him and his store, but also all the fly fishing people that he knows, and he will get them on board. And Leanne Swanson is the president of the Southwest Council. They overlook the 26 clubs in Southern California, and she's the president of the whole area, and she's definitely on board. She and I have taught casting to people at Patagonia all over, and she's totally behind us and has said the Southwest Council will help us as well. We'll also be writing a lot of grants, obviously, to raise this money. So to summarize, the benefits, a casting pond will provide outdoor education opportunities for all members of the community, men, women, veterans, underserved youth, serious athletes, novices, and students. It will enhance the reputation of our county as a leading locale for outdoor education. Casting Pond will benefit local businesses like Eric's Tackle, Patagonia, and our shops, restaurants, and hotels. When we do have a tournament, this brings people to the community, and tourism, I know, is a big budget item. Installation costs for the ponds will be nominal because we're going to raise the money. That's our commitment. A casting pond will support conservation awareness and will tie in with all the ecological efforts being made to protect and enhance Ventura River and Santa Clara River systems. And so we hope that everybody will join us in supporting our dream and our legacy, and something that can benefit our communities for many years to come. Any questions?
Could I comment?
Yes.
You know, just today in the Thousand Oaks Acorn newspaper, they had an article on fly fishing. And can you put it up? I sent it over to Denise because isn't this, it has this really article.
I love it. Oh, I was there. Yes, yes. That was the teachers event. Yes. My husband and I were there.
Yeah, I just thought that was really timely for your presentation. The only question I have, and maybe our Parks Department knows this, is whether we have access to the water to use it to make the pond, because and maybe I see Tony Stafford's here with Cam Rosa, but that's a question that I have, because I think that water is owned by the city of Thousand Oaks Hill Canyon Treatment Plant, and I know we can water our parks, so maybe we're allowed to, but that's just one question I have, if anyone might know the answer.
Karen, this is Chair Rosemary Allison. First of all, you did a wonderful presentation.
Oh, thank you.
My question is, in looking at this body of water, that looks wonderful. Is it standing water? I am a little concerned about mosquitoes and an issue due to the standing water because it's not running.
I'm going to refer that one to Earl, because he has researched both, how you keep the water clean and prevent algae and so on. Earl?
Yes, one of the things that can be done, and I know they do this in the Pasadena pond, is they have a biologic that they can put in the water that's harmless to animal life, but mosquito larvae can't tolerate it. And so they don't get mosquitoes in the ponds. Long Beach Casting Club changes their water fairly frequently and uses a lot of chlorine in their water, but I'd rather use biologics. It's basically it's a benign bacteria that takes and eats mosquito larvae. So the Pasadena Club even put in ramps for the local toad species so it could lay eggs in their pond, and they have pollywogs in their pond for about half the year. So, and that's the kind of a pond that I would like to have. We'll keep the water clean, keep the algae down to a minimum with environmentally good algicides. There are different types of chemicals. There's quite a bit of difference in the ways that these 5 ponds in California are maintained, but it's very doable.
Earl, maybe because there are concerns on water, maybe you can talk about just briefly the amount of like, we change the water 4 times a year, I think was what we had talked about.
If we were to change the water in a pond 4 times a year, and that doesn't mean that we would use all of 4.5 acre feet of water, but it would be about 4.5 acre feet of water that we would use when we emptied the pond. Of course, we could put that water back in the creek or into the landscape, back into the ground. There's a lot of things that we can do with it. About half of that water is lost, though, to evaporation. So I have if you would like me to email you a breakdown of it, I have a complete breakdown of what takes water-wise to be able to do this. But it's like I said, it's 4.5 acre feet a year.
Well, that's not much at all. Okay.
Oh, but we're
18, talking 14 inches of water in the 18-inch pond. So
yeah, but I would like to hear Tony weigh in on it, because when you said reclaimed water, I don't think the creek water is reclaimed. I don't think it's the purple. And that reclaimed water is got a cost. I'm paying 1,800 an acre foot for drinking water, and I don't know what the reclaimed water costs are, but I don't know if it comes straight out of the creek. Tony?
Well, this is the first I've heard of the project, so I don't have any background on it to speak, but I heard the reclaimed mentioned also. So I'm not sure what water you're talking about, where you're going to get the water. We have water in that vicinity on Hill Canyon Road, but technically it is a non-potable surface water, which is different than recycled or reclaimed water. It's not as,
I used the wrong words because I don't understand, the technicalities, but non-potable water is fine for a casting pond because nobody's going to drink it.
Yeah, I think it's a little deeper than that. Non-potable surface water that comes out of the creek, that we get out of the creek, has sediment in it. It's not clear like taking recycled water directly from a treatment plant. So I wasn't sure what water source you were talking about. If you were talking about taking it from the creek, taking it from Rosa, or you had another source. So I would encourage you to work on that end fairly quickly. Money's easy to raise. Water's a little tougher.
Yeah, I was thinking Rosa, but I don't understand exactly how that would work. I just thought that it was nearby, so.
Well, the first thing to make it work is to contact whoever you're going to talk to about getting water.
Okay.
This is the first I've heard of it. So, but I think there are some good things. I mean, but anyway.
Well,
Hi all,
Tony, the purple pipes are at the park, so reclaimed water is at the park, correct? To water the landscaping of the park, we use reclaimed water, don't we?
Hi all, everyone. This is Jerry Cooper. I'm the Parks Manager for the County of Ventura. Here to speak on behalf of our department. I can't speak directly to reclaimed watering the park at this time. I do know that we have an allocation that we do receive from Rosa for the park. I don't have the data on the per acre feet that we get as part of our allocation. I can tell you that our restroom facilities out there are on a septic tank. We are not connected to any specific city sewer system. So any kind of discharge of that casting pond would have to typically be a pump situation out there. We did meet with Sespe fly fishers and are definitely open to this as an option for the park. The County Parks Department wants to be very strategic in how we plan out each of our parks throughout the county with what we are putting there for the community. As many of you know, County Parks is an enterprise fund, so about 90% of what the revenue that we have in county parks is generated from user fees. So any construction and maintenance of said pond would need to be through any type of fundraising efforts. I know that we would like to see very much commitment from any of the prospective fundraising entities that want to contribute to this and a more detailed specification on the pond before we're able to move forward with the project. But we definitely have the door open for Sespe fly fishers.
Good news.
Was there going to be a presentation from Parks? I thought Santa Rosa Valley MAC was waiting for a presentation from Parks District regarding your studying this, the different options, whether it's campgrounds or Frisbee golf course, all these options you guys threw out. I don't know when it was, but you were going to come back to us. When's that happening?
We have not set that date for you guys yet. We currently in our strategic plans don't have any imminent development for Santa Rosa, but I can work with Venice and Supervisor Parks to do that, to work with our director and facilitate that that presentation for you, but there is no imminent development of your park at this time. So we definitely have some time for you and your area to work with you on what items you want to see out there.
And we did forward over to the Parks Department your survey results. You know,
Yes, we do have that.
Well, too, but obviously this option wasn't on there, so it's nice that you are considering it also.
Candace, you wanted to speak?
Yeah, hi folks. Also Candace Minigan with the CSB Fly Fishers. So when we started talking with Director Coulter back in fall of 2021, we did discuss that the source of water was obviously critical. And so, I think there's a willingness to pay for the source of water from the county's allocation. That was the idea. And so the source of water would be the purple reclaimed, and then we would be emptying into the septic tank, not into the creek at all, to avoid surface water quality issues. Yeah, so we had originally approached Supervisor Parks's office because of all the exciting things happening at Growing Works, saying, is there space there? And then we discussed other locations in the county with Director Coulter, but after the site visit to Santa Rosa, this is definitely ideal because of the allocation from Rosa, how we can maintain the existing parking, the lack of electricity lines. I mean, it just, this location ticked many boxes where a lot of the other county locations haven't. And we have, reached out to the city of Ventura, and as Karen mentioned, the Ventura Land Trust and other locations. But this is very central, and our board also came out and did a site visit very shortly after our initial site visit, and the board is ready to move forward. I think and I want to thank Supervisor Parks and Venice for inviting us to speak to the MAC and to the community to discuss these questions and issues so that we can iron out, any queries. But, because the Parks Department, from our discussions with Coulter, they haven't done the strategic planning out for the park, but there is room and space for development at this particular park in the county. What we're seeking is like a 1 to 5 or 1 to 10 year lease agreement or agreement with the county so that we have a commitment so that we can go start fundraising. And then that way, we can be in the strategic planning moving forward as the park does that strategic planning out and development, that our fundraising is on a parallel process to that planning out and developing of the park, so that we don't necessarily have to wait until that is done. We can start raising funds sooner than later.
So perhaps some kind of memorandum of understanding, if we could put that in place, that, as soon as we have commitments for the funds, and we feel that we can raise the amount needed within 5 years, possibly sooner, but giving a 5-year time frame, given COVID and everything else, is safe. And I believe Coulter said he's quite busy the next couple of years anyway. So that allows us to move forward a memorandum of understanding or some kind of an agreement that as long as we raise the money, we can, that the Parks Department would approve the project, would be ideal. That would be what we're seeking. And if there's some next steps I need to take in order to clarify the water situation or to work with Ms. Cooper, I would be happy to do that. Earl and Candace and I are all ready to go. We just need to know what you need from us.
I mean, we even have a draft lease agreement or MOU that we could share with County Council if that's necessary. But I think the biggest thing is to answer any questions that the MAC might have, and then identify what next steps would be in securing a location.
I would anticipate that you could raise funds sooner than that, just knowing about what funds are out there and available. And then I just also wanted to tell the MAC, Candace, for full disclosure, worked in my office, was my environmental water expert at my office. And I just have a tremendous amount of respect for her and the good work that she does. So I imagine she has really good buddies in the fly fishers too.
I have to tell you, personally, I sure hope that this project happens. My husband is a lifelong fly fisherman, and this will make him so excited. So believe me, I will be there rooting for you and helping. But in the meantime, your presentation was great.
Yeah, my question just is like the strategic plan that hasn't been developed or brought back to the MAC, that was sort of promised for us to look at what the Parks Department was thinking about. I think it's great. The pond is a great thing, but is that it? I mean, what happened to all the other ideas? And are we going to go forward with this without all the other ideas coming together in some sort of plan that the MAC can say, yeah, that sounds all great? Or are we just sort of giving a thumbs up to this piece of it?
Well, I think the issue is funding. This group is coming up with the funds to develop that portion of the park, whereas I don't know that there's any other funds available for the other options we were hoping for. And I think Supervisor Parks can address that better.
Oh.
And certainly, our Parks Department too is looking for grants, and we do have a master plan that they are working on. So we do anticipate them coming back to the MAC to get your opinions on what you'd like to see. And then once you do that, then it's a matter of putting those elements on the ground. So, in a map on the ground and get funding. So I think this is an important discussion because this was not one of the items on the survey, for example. Want to, get your impression if it's something you support that you would like to have at the park. It doesn't mean it's to the exclusion of something else, but it's just looking at this is this something that you would like to see?
I think, Mr. Cannon, from a parks perspective, what we would like to do is come back to the MAC with the whole list of items that were brought forth in your survey, as well as ideas that we have for the park, including this concept for the casting pond, make a presentation in totality to your group and have you say, yes, these items would be acceptable to us as a community at this park. And then Director Chisholm and I can work with the SESB fly fishers to detail out for them what process we would need from them to be able to approve a project from their perspective and administer any type of documentation they need for their fundraising efforts. Because it from our perspective, it will not be just a, we're going to write you an MOU, go ahead. There will be some conceptual plans and detailed timelines, detailed master plan for how they anticipate moving forward, as well as some guarantees with regards to maintenance costs for the perpetuity of the casting pond, because we will not be able to generate revenue from this particular item. So a lot of those things would need to fall into place, but we would like to come back to Santa Rosa MAC with our ideas, including this SESP project, and present it to you all for consideration.
Thank you,
Kevin?
Jerry.
What?
Kevin, did you want to say something, or are you just a thumbs up?
Oh, I think that's great, but I'd like to see the timeline move faster. I know how county government sort of does their thing, but I don't want to hold up these people, because the thing I'm thinking is we do that, it's going to displace a lot of the other ideas. Like, boom, there goes the campground idea, right? So, or is it in the floodplain area? Like that's where we kind of want to see the whole picture, because this will knock out something else that maybe somebody else really wanted.
Can you tell us, Jerry, the location for this? Is it where anything else was, supposed to go in or anticipated or envisioned?
So this was the first time I had seen the location that Earl had spec'd out for the project. So I would need to go back and look at some of the ideas that have come up. I have only been with the County Parks Department for 8 months. And so I don't know if there had been any conceptual designs prior to that. But I can tell you that, the ideas have flown from campgrounds to playgrounds to, different types of equestrian arenas. There have been many, many ideas. So I would need to go back and look and see exactly what ideas have been sketched out on paper in the past.
Okay, thank you. Mark, do you know by the chance on the top of your head? By looking at where they're placing it or anticipating placing it?
Me?
Yes, you, Mark Burley.
I've certainly not seen anything that's been designed to go in there before.
Okay.
I never knew. Well, first of all, I'm not sure that our survey indicated that people were interested in having campgrounds, but that I've never seen that would be an area where a campground would go. But I have a doubt that the community is interested in having campgrounds.
Yeah, no, it was a while ago that they showed the map of where they could develop. One thing I've seen done there though is like the herding people come and use that area for herding competitions. But anyway, that's just one example of you give away that land and suddenly you can't have those people come. So whatever.
Yeah, it seems like we have a lot of land available still in the park.
There are 50 acres and we're asking for half an acre.
Yeah.
So
right.
we
Honestly,
would not bounce
looking
anyone.
at the presentation, there's just so much, I think benefits from this. When you looked at the kids and the potential for the outdoors that people could enjoy with this casting pond. As a matter of fact, is there any way, Karen, that you can send your presentation to Venice so that she could distribute it to the members of the MAC?
Sure, I might need to use a flash drive because it's rather large with all the photographs. So email doesn't work.
I'll connect with you. I had
But
a
maybe
note to
Google
get it from you.
Docs. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a note, so we can work it out.
Yeah, or
Okay,
Dropbox.
Mark?
Sure.
Mark Burley?
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting idea. It's something new. I think it's a quote unquote rural type activity that fits well within Santa Rosa Valley Park. My concerns are about water and water use, and it feels to me that those questions and wait a minute, and also water disposal. So
Yeah.
I know that we've had projects in Santa Rosa Valley at the other end of the valley by CRPD that were basically abandoned because they were going to put a lake in there, and the lake water usage was basically became too much, and that was 20 years ago. Water is now even in shorter supply. So I'm going to say that the first thing that you guys really need to do is to have a commitment, presumably from Camrosa, that you would have water for this project, and you would have water indefinitely. And we are getting into a worse and worse situation with that.
Yeah.
The second part of it is that I think I heard somebody kind of suggest that maybe the disposal of the water was going to be through the septic tank that's there. I can't imagine you could dispose of that amount of water, and you're the expert on it, through a septic tank system. And I don't know if there's a potential of having a disposal of the water directly into the creek, or whether, how polluted that water is after it's been there for however many, if you're changing it 3 or 4 months at a time. So so the second part of it is you need to have a really good solution about how this water is going to be disposed of. Maybe it can be used directly onto the plants or something like that. So those are my two concerns. And my third concern is that this seems to be, once you've even paid for all this, the maintenance and upkeep of this thing is pretty high. And that's not going to be happening through the Parks Department. That's going to all have to be happening through Sespe Fly Fishers. So you need to be able to not only come up with the money, but you also need to be able to come up with a long-term possibility of being able to maintain this project. And, you know, it's not a small amount of maintenance, I would imagine. So those are my...
The maintenance is draining it and refilling it 4 times a year and maybe scrubbing it out with some brooms. It's not complex, and our club would commit to doing that.
So
it's the cost of that water though. That 4 acre foot is going to be a dollar amount. So you'd have to set up some sort of perpetuity trust to fund that.
But I certainly, I think we should certainly look into this more, and I think it is potentially an interesting thing for Santa Rosa Valley Park, which we're looking for opportunities for.
Also, just so you know, this meeting is being recorded and will be up on the Santa Rosa Valley webpage. So all this information will be available there as well. Michael, you've had your hand up so patiently.
Good. Thank you. So, you know, one of my main concerns with Santa Rosa Valley Park is that it maintains a rural atmosphere. I've seen far too many parks that became overdeveloped, that were in semi-rural areas, such as what we have in Santa Rosa Valley. And it's just became something that was out of character. It didn't feel like you were out in nature anymore. Now, I do like this idea. I think this is in keeping with a rural kind of an atmosphere and back to nature and outdoor recreation. So I like that. Excuse my ignorance, but are these casting ponds stocked with fish? They're not. Okay. All right. And other question I have is, rather than a rectangular pond, can it be made more of a free form shape that looked more like a lake?
Oh, sorry, Karen.
Yes.
Sorry,
that's a
Karen.
yes.
There you go.
Oh, everybody's muted on the.
I've asked you to unmute. There you go. There you go.
Okay. Well, I've never seen a casting pond that was more of an organic shape. I normally they are rectangle because when you're casting, you want to line up and not have the lines bumping into each other. You want to kind of go forward. And even if you go in from all sides of the pond during a big class or event, you need, you know, some lines for people. Earl, do you want to talk?
Earl's muted, looks like.
Oh,
and we
where did Earl go?
Earl,
Okay.
I feel like he wants to say something.
There he is. There he is. Sorry. Sometimes I can't find people.
Great. Yes, it would be not difficult at all to make a pool that wasn't square. We could actually save a little bit in surface area, maybe even a little bit of water we could cut down on by making it a kidney shape or something to that effect. As long as there's sufficient straight line. I do know that the ponds in San Francisco, at the Golden State Casting Club up there, is more of a free form. So there's a lot of possibilities in designs. There's many things that we can do.
Okay,
So
great.
we're
Yeah,
not limited to a rectangle.
yeah, it'd be
That's
great
just
to have
easy.
Thank you, Earl. I didn't know that.
The aesthetics look, you know, kind of natural, like it fits into that area, and you know, it even attract people who like. There's lots of people who just like walking around water, and so.
I would like to suggest if you get a chance, you can go and visit the Pasadena casting pond. It's in the middle of a park near a creek with, you know, bridges and trails, and people ride their dirt bikes, and that, you know, it's a very heavily used park in Pasadena, but it has a very natural feeling. Even though the trees were kept a little bit away from the pond, there's plenty around, you know, there are lots. And then, you know, there is a creek running by, and it's a wonderful, peaceful place. And casting is a very quiet activity. People, you know, just get into their Zen mode and practice to make it look beautiful.
And do these ponds get a lot of use? I mean, do they attract quite a few people? And
Well, for instance, we have casting classes on the grass at Chumash Park because of not having a pond. And we'll get 30 people, once a month. Some Sierra Pacific fly fishers who are a little further south, they have them twice a month and they're full. Santa Barbara has a casting and surf fishing at the beach, and they get, good groups of people, every month. And that's just for a free public event that happens regularly. Then there are all the other uses in terms of special clinics, tournaments, other, bringing kids in, bringing environmental education stuff in. So I think, yes, it would get a fair amount of use.
Can you provide that website again?
Website for the Sespe Fly Fishers?
Yeah.
It's sespeflyfishers.org.
I'm just putting it in the chat.
Oh, okay.
I had a comment, if it's okay. I personally think it's a great idea. I think it's super cool, aside from all the intricacies of what has to be looked at. I would also think that it would be somewhat easy to also contact the other locations that have these facilities there and those parks departments and get their feelings on how it's working for them. I know the ducks would love it. They'd be very happy for it, but all in all, I think it's a really neat idea.
Great, thank you.
Okay. If we
check to see if there are any public comments. If you have a public comment, just click the raise your hand button and I'll unmute.
My one question to you is please clarify as well as you can what our next steps are. The two that I understand are finding out the source of water and what the cost would be, and maybe speaking with Jerry in terms of our steps. And I hope that you understand from us that we're looking for a memorandum of understanding which can have contingencies, i.e. it's only good for this amount of time. If you don't raise the money, it's out, you're done. But we need something to work with to go to any next steps once we have final approval from everyone. So
that would come from the agreement with the Board of Supervisors.
Okay.
And then brought to us from our Parks Department. And that would come after you have a meeting with the MAC. I think they want to look at, as I understand, all the uses, or do you want to support it, without having to look at what else will be at the park?
I will move to do that.
Do which, Kevin? Could it be specific?
I think it's because the money is a no-brainer. The Parks Department's like, they do this, so why are we holding them up? So I'd say I'd make a motion to say we will support this as it goes forward with the Parks Department. If it goes forward, they can have our support. Without having seen the strategic plan first.
Well,
is that a motion?
Well,
I'd like a second.
this was a presentation, so I don't. It wasn't as an action item.
Oh, wow.
So
it is agendized, though.
But it's agendized, so I mean, I don't know, Supervisor Parks.
I think, if they want to express their support for the Parks Department, hears it and can consider.
Yeah, maybe I'll change my motion to just say that we would like to support the Sespe Fly Fishers to take their ideas to the Parks Department and know that the MAC supports the idea. We still want to see the strategic plan at some point, please, but we want to see it go to the Parks Department. please.
Support and concept, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Rosemary, second. Okay. I'll do a roll call. Amy Elliott? Oh, is she in? Are you muted, Amy? Where are you? There you are. You are muted. Amy Elliott?
Yes. Hi. Aye.
Okay. Mark Burley?
Aye.
Kevin Cannon?
Here.
Michael Adams?
Aye.
And Chair Allison?
Aye.
And also, just to let you know, I just put in the chat the website to Supervisor Parks's Santa Rosa Valley map webpage. Again, the meeting will be up tomorrow by tomorrow afternoon, so the information will be there as well.
Including the PowerPoint and everything that you saw.
Mhm.
Right, terrific.
Thank you.
I'd just like to add, I just spent a little time looking at a couple of these ponds around the state. I love the idea of it not being looking like a swimming pool, not being square. I think that's a great idea. Although the one in San Francisco seems to be pretty square, but whatever. And the other thing that's kind of interesting is that what they've done is they've set back and put trees sort of around the pond, and it makes it like really beautiful. So, you know, maybe that's something that we could look at doing, is you have the pond, whatever shape it is, hopefully not too angular, and then, you know, have trees set back, and it becomes a really, really gorgeous looking thing.
And our county has a requirement to plant 1,000 trees a year, so that should go with it.
Right.
And I can tell you, we have experience planting native trees quite a bit.
We've done the tree planting at the park before, so we can do it again.
We have.
Thank you very much for coming. Thank you.
Thank you very much for listening to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you all. Okay, I'd like to go to our next speaker, Ted Stafford, Tony Stafford. Anyway, Tony, I apologize.
That's all right. I'm not a teacher or a TED, so.
I know.
No, I appreciate the opportunity, and I was asked to come at your last meeting, but it was a conflict with our board. But the timing actually worked out better. I mean, I think it'll be a better well, the presentation may not be any good, but the information will be good. So if I could, if you don't mind, and I'm going to share a screen.
You have the ability.
And
There
you should
go.
see a map of California.
We do.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And talking about water availability is what we've been talking about in the last little bit. You can see, and this was released January 13th. And this map is better than it would have been when I came.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So we're now in a moderate drought as of today. And luckily we got some good rain in the end of December, 1st of January. And I'm going to show the next slide. And I know this is a graph, and it may be kind of hard to digest in such short time, but the inches, you can see this monthly precipitation is on the left-hand side. The line we're looking at is this blue line. And you can see we got rain early, then we went until the December, this blue line shot up, and we got a lot of rain and a lot of snow melt, which is very valuable. And that's what improved our drought situation. Although it's not good, it's better than it was. And the issue is what's going to happen from this point. Are we still going to continue to go up, or is it going to plateau like some of these other years? And I'll listen to the NOAA weather forecast, and I'll show you on the next slide. And really, when you talk to those guys, it's usually a coin toss of whether it's going to be a wet year or dry year. And you'll see on the next slide And what this is, the white area, there's a 50-50 chance of being wetter or drier than normal. And you can see where we are, it's right in this area that it's anywhere from 30 to 50% likely that we will be below normal rainfall or precipitation. So although at first glance this looks bleak, but it is an improvement of what I would have presented a month ago. And so what we were faced with a month ago was zero state water. And just to remind everybody, when I talk about SWP, that's state water project, that's water that comes down the Delta. And we often refer it to as import water. That's water that we import into our water district, we don't produce locally. And earlier on, our allocation were allocated, the region is allocated through Metropolitan Water District, a certain amount of our contracted water that we would normally get. And a month ago, it was zero. We weren't going to get any import water. And so you may have heard some scuttlebutt about them allocating water resources and limiting to how much water districts could get, and then the water district would have to figure out how that would be allocated to its users. Well, just today, DWR and DWR's Department of Water Resources, who makes these allocations, upped it to 15%. And that doesn't sound like a big deal, but it really is going from 0 to 50. I mean, 15. I wish it was 50. Improved our situation. And that just happened. The press release was today. And so what does that 15% allocation mean to us now? MWD projects that this 15% will allow them to deliver water, which means we will, to meet demands through the month of October, even under high demand scenarios. Well, a month ago, that wasn't the outlook. So that's a positive. But they also said in the same release is the possibility of implementing allocations to no outdoor water use is not completely off the table. And the problem that water agencies that get water through Metropolitan or throughout the state is that Metropolitan hasn't defined what the implementation of allocations would look like. So they're saying that it may happen, but they're not saying how that process would work or what we would have to do to allocate that resource. And so that's where we are today. It's much better than we were a month ago. It doesn't look like, from what we heard today, that they will be making allocations or reducing our allocated amount, at least through October. And if you've, I think it was in January 4th of this year, the governor, they passed a new resolution, and it talked about things that they expect users to do. And although he's put it in his release, these are in our normal rules and regs. They're permanent, and it's simple things like prevent incidental runoff. There's going to be a little runoff when you sprinkle your yards, but you want to limit that incidental. You shouldn't have running hoses washing cars, washing down hardscapes without nozzles on them. Decorative fountains must have recirculating pumps, and no watering within 48 hours. And all of these make sense, but that's what he has in his resolution to date. So with that, that's the outlook of where we are. And I know the question is going to be, do we expect allocations, and what will that look like? Well, now I don't expect any allocations for the next, through the summer. But still, that's yet to be determined. We still need to get some good rain. Our rainy months, usually January, and the 7 to 14 day forecast that was released today says they don't expect any for the next 7 to 14 days. So we will need to get more rain. So that was it. And I'll be glad to answer questions on drought. Yeah, Kevin?
I've asked you to unmute, Kevin.
Well, I don't have to speak first, but I
Oh.
did ask Tony to come before because I heard a scary thing, and I think the MAC needed to hear this, and all the residents of Santa Rosa Valley heard it from Gene West, actually. And that was this no outdoor watering period for residents. So that wasn't even the worst of his worries. And Tony can probably expand on, if things got really bad, what would happen was they would be penalizing us as a district because we developed our own local water sources, and somehow the state would be saying that goes against you, even though you spent all this money to develop those sources. And so we'd be penalized as much as anybody that used all state water, in a sense, is what I got. Right, Tony? Or how's that?
Oh, yeah, no, you're spot on, Kevin. That's exactly what the discussions were going on, that if they allocated, for instance, they would give Cayuga so much potable water to distribute. And one of the comments was, but if you had local resources, which we've spent a lot of time developing local resources, is that your allocation from the state would be reduced by the amount of your local water. Well, our argument, and we've been pushing hard against Metropolitan on Cayugas, and I think we've got some footage now and are making headway. I don't think that'll be a reality now because they were decentivized. They were not incentivizing local projects, because as soon as they start using that against you, our argument is the reason we develop local resources is so that we can meet our normal demand during drought periods. That's one of the benefits that we do, along with other things such as reduced cost in water. But that was a reality. The discussions that I personally had with Metropolitan and Cayugas both is that they had to rethink this, or they needed to rethink this. And that's still going to be our argument, and we're still pushing hard for that. But I think, Kevin, to your point, it's very good that you raised it, because there may be a time and when we ask for people to write letters. I don't think we want to do it right now. I think timing is everything when you address these issues. And until we get a draft of what the allocation and the distribution would be, I think it'd be a little premature, but we're constantly writing letters and contacting people. So I would like to come back when we know a little more and give you that information, and then you could help us if you're willing.
Okay.
Yeah, Mark?
I'm interested if you have information about how during this drought the level of water in the groundwater in the Santa Rosa Valley Basin has been affected.
Oh yeah, well, one thing that's happened in the Santa Rosa groundwater basin is we've stopped pumping our wells on the Canal well field that's on Hill Canyon. We're building you might have seen people around there setting stakes, but we're getting ready to break ground on a treatment plant for that well site. So we haven't pumped those in a while. So that's allowed the groundwater levels to come back up. And so that's helped. So it's kind of two things affecting that, the drought, but the countermeasure is that we haven't pumped that. Terra Haute Basin, which is, along Terra Haute Road, we have a well there, and those levels have dropped to the point where we had to lower the bowls on our pump.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Don't you have one near East Las Posas as well?
We do, on East Las Posas, that's in the Santa Rosa Basin. And that well is pumping.
Okay.
It is pumping. We're doing some remedial work on that. I know a year or two I was at your MAC meeting and there was discussion about air in the water. You'd open your
Yeah, I remember.
Open your spigot and you'd get air bubbles and then it'd dissipate.
Yeah.
Well, we've got an RFP and we're doing a study on a pilot on that well now to see how we can prevent that air and take it out. But so we're running it at less than maximum capacity. So it's pumping a half an acre foot a day. So it's not that much.
Thank you.
Yeah, Rosemary, you had a question?
When they're talking about no outside watering, are they including the non-potable ag water and
At this point, no. And then again, that's our argument. If you'll, we had to fight them at the last drought because they were going to regulate that, and we got over that hurdle. So I don't expect that they would regulate outside non-potable recycled water.
Okay. And then the second thing I had, which I think you referred to slightly, is that I read that there was legislation as of 2023 that limits homeowners, each resident not to exceed 55 gallons of water per day, which I was told by the LA Times equates to 1 4-minute shower and 4 times flushing our toilets.
Well, it's 55 gallons per person per day.
Correct.
And that's still not a lot.
No.
But that's for indoor, as it stands now, that's for indoor use only. It doesn't go towards watering. That's a separate bucket that they're going to give you. But what's even worse is they're going to, over time, reduce that 55 gallons per person per day to lower than that.
Question.
But again, that's one of the reasons that Camarosa still continues. We have projects in the work now that will reduce our dependence on state water, so that we'll have more more local water to put in our delivery system. And then we still have to fight all the time about making sure that that's not part of their allocation.
Okay. Will we be winding up with like water reserves after that?
I don't know what you mean by water reserves.
Well, in order to, have the penalty, as I understand, will be financial, correct?
No, they don't define what the penalty is. I tell you what they do. They make up the rules, and well, the way it stands now, they make up the rules, and then they go to the water agency, say it's your responsibility to make sure 35,000 customers don't use more than 55 gallons per day per person. So it can be some places, if you've read in the news lately, Las Virgenes is getting ready are threatening to start making a financial burden on people that go over their allocation. So that's one method. Luckily our district's been very responsive. If you remember during the last drought, we called for allocations, and it was something like 28%. That we negotiated down, it started at 32% reduction. We got it to 28%. And, we, as a district, came in right around 26% reduction.
Okay. I understand that we need to have another speaker, but Michael would like to ask a question. I'm wondering, Tony, if there's any way I could get you to stay available for a little bit longer?
Another.
Denise? Yeah.
I mean, what's a little bit? Is it another fishing?
No, okay. Can we finish? Because Michael was like,
when this is
ask
finished.
a question. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Michael?
Okay, thank you. Just a couple of statements and one question. I know in Los Angeles, during one of the droughts, they put heavy restrictions on outdoor watering. And what they found out is, well, you can't water your lawn. And then it turns out that the trees also died.
Right.
So, the idea of zero outdoor watering, unless you want to kill all the trees, is just not a reality. The other thing that I want to mention is I noticed a significant reduction in the water quality here just in the past month. And so I called your office. I spoke to Mike Phelps, and he had mentioned that over on the east side of Santa Rosa Valley, we had more metropolitan surface water, and that has been reduced, and now we have more well water, so it's a harder water than we're accustomed to. So is the goal in the end to completely get off of metropolitan water and just have local water only, or what's the goal there?
Well, the ideal goal, and it'll be past my tenure for sure, is that we want to have the capability of getting completely off of metropolitan. Now, that'll develop as we go through different projects. But there's ways to, right now, first I'm going to answer your question. Yeah, Mike Phelps, that was just mentioned as our lab water quality supervisor. And yes, what has happened is we put in a pump station, it's called Pump Station 2 to 3. It's located off of Santa Rosa Road on the eastern end of Santa Rosa Valley. And we have 4 pressure zones in Camarosa, and pressure zones are just elevations. And the higher the pressure zone means we have to pump water up into that zone. All of our local resources have been developed in zone 1, which is the lowest. So for us to take advantage and be able to pump water into other parts of the district, especially during emergency times, we need to be able to move water both ways, from the highest elevation to the lowest, and from the lowest to the highest. And at the lowest, since all of our local resource water is there, that includes our Round Mountain Water Treatment Plant, which is a desalter, which puts out very good water. That includes the Canal well fields, which happens to be off now, which is higher in TDS or hardness. Wood Creek well, and we've just put another well online off of Wood Creek Road. So especially when the demand is low, we are moving water up into other zones with our local resource. And what happens, anytime you change the velocity or direction of flow in a distribution system, it stirs up some sediment. And we have had complaints about sediment, and we've got people going out and flushing those sections to flush. And it takes is you open it up, usually at fire hydrants, and you get the flow going one direction till you get all the sediment out. And right now it's done on a case-by-case basis, but we're writing an RFP to come in and do a system-wide flushing. And that's normally a yearly thing, but it's somewhat difficult to do, or the timing on it of doing that during a drought just is not good. To flush your water systems when you're getting ready to go into a drought season until you know what the rain's going to do. But anyway, that was a long answer to a short question, but I hope I answered it.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah.
I have
It
sorry.
sounds like, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, finish.
Oh, okay. So it sounds like there is some transition going more to well water and dialing back the metropolitan water district surface water.
There is,
for the long term.
And to be at long term, yes, to be successful as a water agency and be able to deliver water when you want it, you're going to have to transition to that. If you look at Las Virgenes right now, the reason they made the headlines is because they're strictly 100% import water. Right. So you're at whatever the political climate is in Sacramento, or you don't get enough snow, or it heats up and melts the snow before it's supposed to, you're in jeopardy of not having enough water. Thousand Oaks, Simi Valley, Las Virgenes, they're almost 100% import water. And I think, as I've said before, it's kind of like a financial portfolio. You want a diversified portfolio, and you want the availability to get import water, but you don't want to be strictly reliant on them to deliver that water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Rosemary, I had a public comment.
Okay.
Jen Bell, I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Hi, Tony.
Hi.
I have a question, two questions, I think. How Does Rosa, given that you just said that you're going to focus more on using our groundwater, well water, to help relieve the pressure of buying, trucking in water for our drinking water, correct? It's not the non-potable, it's for the potable water.
Yeah, and just one clarification, you'd said it's a new focus. It's not a new focus. Our board adopted a strategic plan, 2008, and we even changed our brand on there to, increase self-reliance. And so that's been, it's not all of a sudden thing. I think our board, and even before me, they knew that this needed to be done, and we've been making progress in doing that. So anyway.
Okay. So I'm getting to the critical impact status of our groundwater.
Okay.
And how that relates to new construction. I think what you have 10,000 homes that you service. Am I wrong on that number? I don't think that matters really, but
it's close. We have about 10,000 connections.
Okay.
And we service about 35,000 people. So that's close.
And I know prior, a few years, can you hear me? A few years prior, there was a slowing in the will serve applicants or processing of the will serves with like wagon wheel and things like that. I don't know if Rosa was a part of that. But now, every year it seems like our drought is undulating, but getting worse and worse. It undulates, but it's declining.
Right.
What I'm getting at is, with the ADU law and new construction with helping our population growth, does Rosa have any input in that, given what I understand, what I'm reading and what I've heard earlier, that might be revised in the Ventura County ordinance, but what I understand, the current, as of yesterday, I looked it up, it said based on the adequacy of water and sewer service, so ours is septic, wouldn't Rosa have a say in that, or am I incorrect in thinking that process? And if so, how do you decide? Are you an active participant in increase of ADU in this valley?
ADU actively no, but we are in the process. And one of the things that one of our position now is that anybody that takes service from us has to get a water will serve letter. And part of that water will serve letter, even if they're not, like the city of Camarillo, we serve part of the city, about half the city of Camarillo. And if they have a developer come in, the developer has to get a water will serve from us.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing for the portion of Thousand Oaks, they have to get a will serve from us. And we have a permanent moratorium on regarding development. They have to mitigate water use. And what that essentially says is they have to give us a water budget plan, and they have to be able to offset that water. And that either means bring water, and bring in water as you build a project, you do something that gets more water into our district, or they can participate in a project for us that gets more water, because the board has decided, and this was a decade ago or longer that moratorium's been in place, that new developments could not affect existing stakeholders or ratepayers, either in water reliance or water cost.
Right.
And so, anyway, that's where it is.
But so that's just major developers like apartment complexes and commercial buildings. What about residential use?
The way it sits now is an individual 1.5 inch meter. I think it may be a 1 inch. In 1 inch or 1.5 doesn't have to mitigate. They still need to get a well serve, but they don't have to mitigate water use.
And
so that's some of the things that we've been talking about is, the granny flats or whatever they're called now.
Yeah, ADUs.
Is that on the existing meter? And if the facility takes it above the meter size that the inch or inch and a half, then they would have to mitigate.
Right. But also this will be on the next agenda when we discuss ADUs, so.
Yeah,
we'll
but
get
I
into-
wanted, since
I
Tony was
understand,
here.
but yeah, it's kind of.
Well, it's because
towing that
I,
line.
it,
So,
it pertains to the critical impact of the groundwater, which he did bring up.
sure, which is why we did definitely allow the public comment.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, no, you know, it's a valid, very good question.
Right.
ADUs, it's discussion we're having now. And the other impact is going to be on the sewer systems, you know, the septic tanks. But we don't have any say in the septic system.
That's environmental.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the county permits that.
Right.
She knows.
Yeah. Thank you, Tony.
Thanks, Jen.
Okay. So Denise,
So-
I know you need to go to the next one. So
Well,
why don't you?
so Supervisor Parks, actually, she said, she texted me, she said she did have to step away. So she has requested that if you could just, for the boundary expansion, continue that to the next meeting where she can participate
Oh, okay.
in that discussion. She wanted to be a part of that, but I see her there, but she's actually had to step away. So.
Okay. All right. So we will hold that off. So let's go to the status of the Bridlewood Debris Basin and Equestrian Trail.
And I just wanted to say really fast, thank you.
Thank you
Tony.
so much, Tony, for meeting with us and talking to us. We
No,
definitely need you and value you.
Well, thanks. And I actually look forward to visiting with you to at least let you know where we are. And so anytime you want, I would be glad to come.
How about every meeting?
But, how often do you meet?
Every other month. But truthfully, water is going to be probably one of the most important issues facing the residents of Santa Rosa Valley.
I tell you what I'll do is if something comes up on my end that I think people really need to hear, I'll call and see if I can get on the agenda. But you do the same thing. If y'all have questions, invite me and I'll come.
Thank you so much, Tony. I really appreciate
Thank y'all.
You're always welcome. Just send me an email.
Thank you. Thank you,
All right,
Tony.
thanks.
Good night.
Night.
Okay, so now status of Bridlewood Debris Basin and Equestrian Trail. Who is giving us that report?
I had a conversation today with Walt Smith from Bridlewood. There are still a number of legal issues being discussed between the county and the Bridlewood attorneys regarding getting this easement wording settled, which is maybe only one of the issues. It's apparently there is a lawsuit between the county and one of the homeowners in there, which is potentially slowing this whole thing down. And so it may be that this is not going to be resolved in the near future. I don't think that it's going to be resolved in the first half of this year, is the impression I get, and could be even later than that. So unfortunately, the wonderful trail that the county put in is Watershed Protection District put in is ready to go and locked off. Any questions?
Do they have an obligation to come back and repair it?
Sorry, repair which?
The trail that's been blocked off.
Oh, no, it's blocked off with a gate. The gate,
Oh.
the trail is all fixed and it's closed with a gate because the legal agreements have not been reached between the county and the Bridlewood HOA. And it's all at a level of lawyer to lawyer discussion at this point. And as I say, there are other issues that are not particularly, not directly related to the trail easement that seem to be holding this up.
Okay. Because I noticed you had posted a photo of a trail that had been washed out.
Oh yeah, that was fixed.
Okay.
That was
all right.
Nothing to do with Bridlewood, but yes, that trail got fixed.
Well, I was wondering if that was possibly from the runoff from the debris basin.
No,
Okay, all right. So, because we certainly had a lot of rain to gauge how the debris basin was going to affect, the decommissioning of the debris basin was going to affect the waterways and the trail.
it all seemed to work fine. We had some heavy rain, and it all, I mean, certainly wasn't the 100-year flood, but the debris basin not being there did not affect downstream.
Okay.
Certainly
Well, that
not. Certainly not that I saw, and unless you saw anything further down to where you are.
We have a homeowner online right now who had checked that. Unfortunately, I was out of town during that rain, but Ken Venus, who lives backing to that, closer to this area that would have been affected. He's online, and possibly he can give us his impression from the water.
Who is that, Rosemary?
Ken Venus.
I've asked you to unmute.
Okay, Ken, there.
Hey, I think I'm here. We've only lived here for about 6 years, but there was one really good rain where we had a lot of water come through a few years back. This last rain that we got did not seem to be as much of a flow as that other rain. I don't know that you can really tell though, because you know, all these channels and everything and all the floodways are all based on 100-year floods. And we certainly haven't had the rain to have a 100-year flood. So, I mean, I just don't know that you can make any kind of concrete statement about whether everything's working perfectly or not, because we just really don't have the volume of water that you have to consider for floodplains and regulatory floodways.
Okay. Well, thank you. Again, thank you for your input. Okay. So that is there anything else that we need to discuss regarding this? Okay.
No, not from my end.
Okay. So, I'm sorry, what? Did I miss?
Oh, I
a
said
hand?
I don't see any hands raised, so.
Okay. All right, the next thing which we are going to postpone until the next, oh, I'm sorry, Michael Adams has his hand raised.
Oh, that was after I looked.
Sorry, just last minute here. Just a quick question. Just in 1 or 2 sentences, what is the legal dispute over? What is it regarding?
One of the homeowners has, and this is, filed a suit against the county regarding, as I understand it, and I haven't seen the actual suit, but it's available at Superior Court, regarding the fact that their trees that were on their property, but on the easement that the county watershed protection district had, that the trees were removed. That's what I heard was the basis of the issue.
Oh. Okay, thanks, Mark.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so let's go on to the approval of the 2022 MAC meeting schedule.
Let me show it to you. I sent it, but I'll show it to you. So you'll see it's the 3rd Thursdays of the month. We always have the opportunity to do a special MAC meeting if necessary. There was one date in March that I just provided an alternative date, an alternate date if you want, because I do know that March 16th and 17th falls under the Jewish holiday of Purim. So if you wanted to move it, that's up to you. So that's what that little tan peach color is, but that's up to you. But otherwise, all the dates are the 3rd Thursdays of every other month.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the only one. I move that we move forward with this schedule as written. Without any
Changes.
change. Yeah.
Okay.
I second.
Okay, Rosemary moved, Mark Burley seconded. I will do a roll call. Amy Elliott? Oh, hold on. Let me stop sharing. And so that way I can see you all and unmute you. Amy Elliott? Aye. Mark Burley?
Aye.
Michael Adams?
Aye.
Kevin Cannon?
Aye.
And Chair Allison?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, now it's done. I will have that posted on the MAC website at ventura.org/Santa Rosa Valley MAC. So it'll be available to anyone. Rosemary, do you want me to send that to you to post as well?
Yes, please.
Okay, I will do. Okay.
If I'm lucky, I'll be in Paris May 17th. If not, I'll be here.
You're gonna be in Paris?
I could Zoom from Paris.
You sure can.
Good.
There's a time difference, but
You'd have to get up at 5 a.m.
Okay.
Council
I'd like to go on to public comment, council comments on issues not on the agenda. I personally would like to bring something up at this point, which is, we've been asked in the past on different occasions to attend community meetings. And as much as we would love to be part of those meetings, we received county council who gave us the following response. If there is an issue that may potentially come to the MAC members should not participate in the community meeting to avoid both the appearance and potential for a conflict of interest and to avoid any potential Brown Act issues. Additionally, from what I understand, if we were to engage in any community meetings, we could be recused from a future vote on whatever issue that this is. So I did want to explain this to the community. And believe me, it's not that we don't want to participate. We are being told by county council that we can't. So anyway, that was my point of council comments on issues not on the agenda. Does anybody else have any comments that are not on the agenda?
Mark?
I do. Mark. No, go ahead, Mark.
As you all know, a new law came into effect at the beginning of this year that you cannot put your compostable garbage into your where you used to put it, which was just in the regular bin. It's a little confusing as to where we're supposed to put it and whether we can just put it into the green bin. We have been told that we can put horse manure into the green bin. So, which even though it says on the bin you can't put any manure in, but they've approved that. So I'm wondering if we could get our garbage company to give us like the down low on how this happens.
Who is Santa Rosa Valley serviced by? Is it EJ Harrison?
EJ Harrison, yes. It's a little, and people get confused. And then I've even seen things in the newspaper about in Oxnard, they're saying, yes, you should put it in a plastic bag and then throw it into the green waste. Well, honestly, you're putting plastic bags in the green. I mean,
well, just so you know, we had another community. It's a little enclave in it's an unincorporated enclave in Thousand Oaks, Casa Conejo. They have a different service provider than Thousand Oaks, the city. So you can imagine the confusion was great because they're getting all these. So they did ask for some clarification. Oak Park also asked. And I asked just since you brought it up, I asked our waste management, the county waste management, what's the deal? And so what I received at this point, and we can always ask, like you said, have someone come in at a later date to clarify even further. It sounds like it is per service provider. So in Oak Park, they have a general GI waste management. They don't want compostable bags. They don't want bags, no food in bags. Whereas EJ Harrison customers, as I understand, they say that's okay to put plastic food in plastic bags in the green waste container. So it seems like it comes down to service provider. So since yours EJ Harrison, I can certainly go ahead and ask and see if we can get that clarification for you from EJ Harrison specifically.
I would like to have that because I think it's, people are confused. It's new and I realize they're not going to be enforcing this. Also, the idea that you're putting plastic bags into the recycling green waste bin seems like an anathema to me. So if that's their policy, maybe we should be changing that policy.
Right. Well, I believe it was the compostable plastic ones, the
Fine.
compostable
Okay,
ones.
then, but then that confuses people. Is it compostable? Do I
Right.
have to go to Trader Joe's and steal their bags that are compostable and not the ones from Whole Foods that are not?
Right. So,
Anyway, so
also,
I would love to get some clarity on this. for the
also, one
community.
thing the county did say is that as these program is launched and trials and errors are started to be reviewed, best practices will unfold. So they'll be looking at it
That's good. That's good.
continually.
We'll all learn together.
We'll all learn together.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's just happen to have that information for you.
Okay, so real quick, Venice, can we check with transportation on the status of the little yellow border around the signal heads? I keep seeing them all over in different cities and I really wish we could get them on Santa Rosa Road.
Yeah, Dave Fleisch said they were doing that. Yeah, I will do that.
Okay, and then I did send something to Venice. I'll bring it up at the MAC here that there's, in fact, Michael probably will be bringing this up. Assembly Bill 43 changes numerous traffic safety laws to implement recommendations made by the Zero Traffic Fatalities Task Force. And it gives counties and cities more flexibilities in setting speed limits. So we all know about what's the normal law that's in effect was the average speed determines the speed limit. So it sounds like that can be overridden now finally. And Venice has told the county they know about that law and they're gonna do something eventually. And there's another one about slow streets and street closures. Assembly Bill 773 gives local authorities permissions to implement a slow streets program to close or limit access to vehicle traffic in certain neighborhoods using design features such as the Ruth Means traffic barriers that she always wanted. So both of those bills are being, like I said, considered by transportation, and their answer is they're currently waiting for Caltrans to incorporate language from this new bill into the state's manual for unified traffic control devices update. So basically they're waiting for the state or the, Caltrans to do something and they'll look at what they can do. So anyway,
Right. And I've invited transportation to come to a MAC once they get their ducks in a row to present on that. So they're aware that your MAC is looking at it.
All right, that's it. I don't know if they'd be talking about the slow streets one. That sounds like something we need to push for, this slow streets program, but no, actually not, because it involves those kind of countermeasures, which they would be in charge of too. Yeah, okay, forget it.
Okay, do we have any other council comments on issues not on the agenda?
Michael, did you raise your hand?
Yeah, I was just responding to Kevin. In our presentation, I believe it was about 6 months ago on those yellow borders, I think he did say it was still at that time, about 1.5 to 2 years out.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
I forgot that.
Sorry.
Good memory. Good memory.
I remember that now.
We got a little ways to go.
Okay. But they're waiting for grant money to do it, right?
Yeah, there's a grant money and then
it was going to be with the road improvement
putting together
project.
a project, and they've got the whole county to do. So
maybe it's in the infrastructure bill.
Oh, you know what? That did remind me, a homeowner who is not on here had asked me to bring up that, an area of Priscilla is in sad need of a lot of help. And they wanted to know, and I forwarded you that email, Venice, that they would like to get an update as to when the county will be considering doing some repavement of the road. They said that it had extremely deteriorated. And I don't know if there's anything we can ask public utilities to check into.
Sure.
Okay.
Do you know what section of road they're referring to on Priscilla, the east or the west or?
Venice, I sent you the email and I do
Yeah,
not.
I'm looking, because if it sent it a while ago and then I forwarded it, then.
It was last week.
Was it last week? Well, I'll follow up with, then I didn't
Okay.
get a response, so I'll follow up.
Yeah,
with them.
I think it was the west end. I think it's further on the west end.
See, I don't know Priscilla, so I wouldn't.
Yeah, I think it was the west end, closer to, towards Camarillo. So anyway,
Yeah.
So I did want to bring that up. Okay, now we go on to public comments on items not on the agenda. If I could get the public to raise their hands so
You
that
know
we can
what?
speak.
I have two written in items that I can read once. I don't know if, let me see check if there's any live comments. There is from Warren. I've asked you to unmute, Warren.
Okay, hi.
Hi.
So should I start here?
Sure.
All right, so Mark indicated that they had this meeting tonight and that I might want to just chime in and let you know the latest up here. So I'm at 11375 Percia Road, and as you know, I share a common driveway with 11365, which is operating as a Airbnb. And then down the road, we have the residential care center. And on Percia Road, we've had a number of meetings of the homeowners. We hosted one on Saturday at our home, and we had 18 people there and took a sort of an attendance sheet, gave everybody ability to put their name down and to put their phone number and email. And subsequent to that time, we've had two additional homeowners add their name to that list. And we had discussions about concerns about what's happening up here on Percia Road, non-residential, sort of like businesses moving into Percia Road. And we know there's discussions of potential overlay for non-incorporated areas in the county, and we hope that happens someday sooner than later. But so we have, a number of us have installed cameras on our road, on this road that goes from Percia Road into 11365 and 11375. The homeowner across the street, they're both attorneys. One's an assistant district attorney for LA. And on New Year's Eve, there was a lot of suspicious activity going from 11365 to the mailbox, back and forth. They would stop at the mailbox for 3 minutes and then go back into their properties. And this happened repeatedly, sort of suspicious. And we have logged in a number of complaints about excessive speed, too many people at 11365 to Airbnb. So yesterday, and I opened a dialogue with the owner of 11365 some time ago, because I always think that's best. We spoke yesterday and he came on fairly strong. He goes, I just want you to know, I'm going to sue you if you complain anymore. I'm going to sue the Parkers. And he says, I'm very wealthy, and I'm also going to lower the rent. I'm going to rent the place to African Americans and cholos. I was just listening. And I'm going to make it a wedding venue, and just started screaming at me, obscenities, etc. So, of course, I didn't listen to that too long. I finally just hung up on the guy. And then I logged all this into Airbnb as a formal complaint. The DA, by the way, for what it's worth, thinks that that was probably drug activity on New Year's Eve. So I just want you all to know what's going on up here. I've got a neighbor who's running a business full-time and very aggressive guy. And you heard what he said. So that's all I have to say.
Well, thank you for your testimony here. Unfortunately, we do not have the ability to respond. I think that you've probably contacted the appropriate county personnel in regards to the restrictions that are current regarding interim rental properties and event locations. This is something that we've asked for further clarification on. And as soon, you know, I know that the county, and that's something that I think that's great. The county just came out, or Venice gave us kind of some new guidelines that that had to do with an overlay, Venice?
Yes.
Hello?
Well, the overlays in Ojai and in the coastal areas. Those are the two overlay zones.
Okay.
So they don't apply to
Rosemary,
anywhere else.
Rosemary, I believe that we are at the
But-
next MAC meeting going to be getting somebody from county planning to come and
Right.
talk about that.
Oh, good. Okay, so
the
this is something-
TRU overlay ordinance.
Right.
Right,
so
we've
that's the
already
first-
asked
that's the
them
first
and-
thing.
Right.
So
So this
I
is
would
something for our next meeting.
wait.
So
yeah.
Warren, we would recommend that, you know, whoever because we can't discuss it unless it's in a public forum like this. So we would recommend that as many people that are concerned and, you know, are affected by this, plan to attend our next meeting, which Venice can tell you the date right now.
March 17th.
March
Is March
17th.
Yeah, I saw your calendar, so I know now.
Yeah.
It's
So
on
at least
Purim.
So it will be on the
Wait a minute.
calendar at that point.
That's St. Patrick's Day too, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
I didn't even.
Yeah, it
It
is.
Sorry,
is St.
Kevin.
Patrick's Day.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Try to be
Plans are ruined.
sober. So
Okay,
anyway,
I
I mean,
have
I'm sorry.
So
Mark just suggested I come and just talk to you briefly about what's happened, and that's it. So
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
We all appreciate that.
I have a question for, I guess it's for Venice.
Yes.
It's my understanding that despite what anybody says, in order to get a wedding venue permit, that needs to go to county planning and it will come to the MAC before it's being approved. Is that my understanding?
We get all the CUPs. They
Okay.
send them to us. The
All right.
conditional use permits, I should say.
No, Mark, I have to tell you, I was surprised to find out that 75 or less people do not need the CUP.
All right.
All right.
But you
so-
can't have this discussion right now. So
No.
Oh,
So let's ask them to discuss that at the next meeting when they come.
yes.
We want to, so that can be, county planning can tell us about those laws and those rules, because I bring this up because we've already had an issue with a wedding venue in Santa Rosa Valley that was
Oh, yeah. In fact,
disastrous.
when I
And I-
spoke to the planner, she was like, yep, oh, I remember. So I'm
Yeah,
aware that of the
so-
concerns of the community. So they're aware. But
It's concerning that this would be coming up again. All right, thank you.
I had Teresa, did you still want me to unmute? Okay, Teresa had a public comment and then I have 2 written comments to read into the record. I've asked you to unmute, Teresa.
Hi, yes, I live at 11421 Priscilla, and I share the common driveway with the Airbnb and Warren Nelson. And I just want to say I spent a lot of time this morning on with the county, and they tell me that there is nothing that they can do as far as Airbnbs because we do not have an overlay. So I keep hearing call the county code compliance, but they say there's absolutely nothing that they can do about it to call the sheriff. And I just wanted to raise that point because we are sort of stuck here.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
If there are no more raised hands, I can read the 2 comments into the record. Is that okay, Rosemary?
Yes, please.
Okay. So the first one is from Eric Peterson. He said, recently SCE has been doing power shutoffs in our neighborhood near Yucca Drive. These have had various issues that continue to occur. 1, poor notice of shutdown dates through various notification mechanisms, email, mail, and text message. Different shutdown dates and times have been sent out, and it is not clear which is correct. In fact, we have received 3 separate notifications for an upcoming shutdown with 3 separate dates and times. 2, road closures have not been mentioned or very poorly. Both Yucca Drive and Rosita Drive were completely closed. We have no alternates and we got little or no notice. For Rosita, we were told roughly 20 minutes prior to the road closing, roughly at 7 a.m. 3, the durations provided for how long the road and power would be unusable were terrible. Generally several hours later than the provided time. But last Friday, we were told power would be restored by 4:30 p.m., but it was not until after 9 p.m. that we got power and our road back. With food without refrigeration for 14 hours tends to spoil. We have attempted to contact SE to get this fixed. Thank you for providing a contact number, but it doesn't seem to make a difference. We understand the upgrades are useful and will help in the future. All we ask is for accurate and timely notifications to allow us to plan and work around these shutdowns. And I will be forwarding that to our friend Rudy Gonzalez.
I think that's very reasonable, and I'd like to support our homeowner in that request.
Sure. The second comment I have is from Maria Nelson, and she just writes, getting rid of nuisance Airbnb and start an overlay.
All right. Well, thank you for the public comments. Do we have written communications?
No, I don't have any. Thank you.
Okay, future agenda items, obviously the ADU item that we need to postpone from today, as well as the district for the MAC boundary expansion.
I have those 2. I have the letter regarding undergrounding. I obviously have the true overlay zone. And then we have the dark sky. I actually have him confirmed in March. So I know it's been a long time in coming. And then I did get a note from Jerry Cooper, who was with the Parks Department. We're going to have them come back for the parks, but she asked if it could be a little later, like May, June, like summer, so that they can have some time to get the strategic plan together. So they've asked for a little bit later date. Also, I wanted to let you know your March meeting is going to be pretty packed. So it's going to, if you have the ADUs and the true overlay and the dark sky and the boundary expansion.
Yeah.
So,
well,
and all on St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, but also what was raised just now was CUPs in the planning department. And so that's separate from overlay and ADU.
what is it with CUPs though? I mean, CUPs already, they notify our office and those come to the MAP to
No,
give a
okay,
recommendation. So what
guess-
is it that you wanted with CUPs?
I guess Warren was just on talking about the events that are going on there.
Not the short-term rental. He's
Not
talking
the
about
short-term rentals. He, you know, we sort of indicated, and Mark raised the confusion of like, what is exactly the rule with the CUP? So I thought we're going to get the answer next meeting, right?
Can we
Mark?
separate those two, short-term rentals and
Well, they don't have a C. I mean, they don't have a.
No, Denise, I'm not asking for them for this particular CUP. I'm saying
Just in general.
Yeah, to bring us back up to speed as to what Mark was asking for. He was asking for clarification on the 75 people thing. Remember, he said 75 people. Is that right? Is that right?
Yeah, I would like, as they're going to
Well, I
be
can
there
send
anyway,
that
I
to
would
you
like.
because that's just in the ordinance. Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
the
okay.
reason why I asked for that specifically was that I was Another house that we've not discussed at all yet. Owners were telling me that they were planning on doing small events with less than 75 people, and that they had talked to the county and were told that it was no problem. So, and that's something that has not caught up on our horizon, that we have not been aware of. And, you know, it'll be our next issue. And I
So
need to,
it's not so much CUPs, it is events that you're interested in. You want to
Right.
know what the rules
Yeah.
are around events.
right, because I didn't realize that someone could have an event with 75 people or less and charge for it. I thought you couldn't do a commercial enterprise.
Okay. Okay, so that, now I understand what you're asking for.
That's
You-
what
You're
we
asking more
want some
for events.
clarification on what all
Right.
those rules
For
are.
events. Okay,
Because
all right.
25 people is a big, that's an
Yeah,
event.
and-
It's a big
Right,
event.
and putting it on the agenda, because people are going to show up, public's going to show up and want that discussed. And if it's not on the agenda and we can't discuss it
Right.
again, they're going, what the heck? We,
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's,
I think we're all
let's
on,
get a lot of green beer
on the
for
same
that
page
next
here.
meeting. A lot of green beer.
Right, well, I might see, it might be that we'll move some things around, like obviously dark sky will be a later one. I mean, I'm sorry, the parks, because they've asked if we could do it later in the year, so that won't be next one. I can see if we can do if you want, do the dark sky in May so that you guys aren't so packed. And
I
you
would
can
vote
just
for
do
that.
a planning, you
I
know,
would vote for that.
you would,
Yeah, I think that this is a bigger issue right now.
right,
Yeah.
okay.
So
All right.
I would like clarification for everyone.
Okay.
And actually, what I would ask, is there any way you can send us the information prior to the meeting?
Well, I'll send you the information, and if there's still questions, you know, we can prepare, you can send this.
I'm
to
sure
me
there
and-
will be questions, but I would like to have the
Well,
correct
that's what I'm-
information.
Right, I can send you what the ordinances around events are so far, you know, and if you have questions, I can provide that to planning and they can prepare in advance.
Because I would just like an understanding, because I thought that, you know, other than a home office, a commercial enterprise was separate, and that to me would be a deviant from that understanding.
Well, I'll send that out, like I said, and then if you guys have clarifying questions, I can provide that to planning in advance. That way they know what to prepare for.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. With that,
Oh, I have one suggestion. Obviously not for the next meeting, sounds pretty packed, but at least one meeting in the future to have Rudy from SCE come back and tell us what he's accomplished or what their company has accomplished as far as hardening the lines and reducing the number of power safety shutoffs. I know in November, my power was off for 2 different days, and one day it was off for 17 hours. So,
Thanksgiving.
Yes, Thanksgiving Day, it was out all day long.
A lot of people had a very difficult Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
That was a bad
nightmare.
windy day.
Thank goodness the gas company doesn't shut stuff off.
Right.
So I think it would be good to have him back, and because I've not seen any activity on the lines around here that indicates they're adding any insulation to those lines.
Okay.
I would like to add to that, Southern California Edison, in the repairs that we're making, they did some work and they did patch jobs on the roads. And we are a bit concerned because the patch jobs weren't very professionally done. And we are concerned about the pavement, that they need to do a better job of fixing, the areas that they've opened up.
Well,
because
if you want to
these
just send me where
roads
those
are
areas
hard-
are, I can forward that to Rudy. And that way he can, you don't have to wait to another meeting. You can just get it done right away. I think that's a better way to go at this point. That way I can get that information to him quickly.
Those weren't the speed bumps that somebody was asking for?
All right, well, with that, I would like to adjourn this meeting to our next meeting, which is going to be March 17th.
Yay.
Thank you. Have a wonderful time. Good rest of your evening. Good night.
Thank you so much for
Okay.
Bye.
setting this all up so well.
Thank you.
Could we
Okay,
could
bye-bye.
we leave the thing rectangular and put a dressage arena on top of it?